After an awkward blunder at tell-all, Matt from 90 Day Fiancé finally admits whether he loves Jasmine Pineda. Matt Brownies has finally acknowledged his genuine love for Jasmine Pineda following an embarrassing incident during 90 Day The Last Resort Season 2 tell-all. Jasmine, who was born in Panama, moved to the U.S. to wed Gino Palazzolo. Although they were married in June 2023, their intimacy problems grew worse over time. In order to get rehabilitation, they joined Season 2 of 90 Day The Last Resort. Jasmine suggested an open marriage to Matt as a third party after a few treatment sessions. She unexpectedly became pregnant with Matt, and in March 2025, they had a daughter, Matilda. He appeared to be simply remaining in her life in order to support their daughter. But now that the tension has decreased, Matt has been honest about his true feelings for Kate. Recently, Matt posted a photo of himself and their daughter, Maddie, to Instagram stories, writing, "I love them." To further demonstrate that the love was returned, Jasmine reposted Matt's picture on her own Instagram story. Jasmine genuinely loved Gino, her now ex-husband, but their relationship lacked intimacy. She turned to her buddy Matt for affection and support when their marriage failed. In her open marriage to Gino, Jasmine ultimately decided to have sex with Matt. Despite initially being friends with benefits, Jasmine and Matt seem to have developed a deeper affection for one another. They denied having a romantic relationship during 90 Day The Last Resort Season 2 tell-all, but they are now publicly admitting their emotions for one another on social media. It appeared that Matt and Jasmine were solely related by their child when he appeared on tell-all. When he was reluctant to publicly express his love for her, many 90 Day Fiancé supporters started to doubt his commitment. But those uncertainties have been dispelled by Matt's most recent statement. It is now evident that Matt is deeply in love with Jasmine, despite earlier doubts. He is demonstrating his commitment to her and seems sincere about their future together. Given that Matt has now publicly declared his love for Jasmine, the couple may soon receive a proposal. Jasmine had emotional instability and feelings of uncertainty in her past relationship with Gino. She was seen as an extremely envious girlfriend who needed a lot of attention to feel appreciated. In light of this, Jasmine might feel more confident about their relationship if Matt publicly declares his love for her. Even though Matt and Jasmine were once thought to be a doomed pair, their recent declaration of love for one another gives them hope. By demonstrating that they are more solid than they seemed in the 90 Day The Last Resort season, they are able to alter the narrative. But in his hotel room in Panama, Gino perched on the edge of the bed and gazed at the little packet he was holding indifferently. His heart was pounding and his palms were perspiring. There was no solace in the sound of the waves breaking outside the window. He never intended to keep the secret from Jasmine for this long, but it was in that envelope. It had begun rather casually. Gino's ex-girlfriend Melissa had written him a letter 2 months before to his trip to Panama. At least not all of it was romantic. She had written to inform him that she had a son and to express her regret for the way things had turned out. A boy, 5 years old. A boy who could be Gino's, she remarked. Gino was in a panic. He didn't answer. He kept Jasmine in the dark. He persuaded himself that it was a miscommunication or a publicity stunt. He was constantly reminded that he was living a lie by the letter that was still concealed in his suitcase. Jasmine was only a few hours away from meeting him now. Excitation, heart emoticons, and hopes for a future together were all over her texts. Gino thought he was a phony. Jasmine showed up in the hotel foyer that night glowing and bursting with vitality. Running to Gino, she jumped into his arms and gave him a passionate kiss. Gino briefly lost all memory of the letter, the uncertainty, and the guilt. But it was short-lived. Jasmine began to notice something was wrong throughout the course of the following few days. Gino was preoccupied. He paused before responding to basic inquiries. He appeared worried and aloof. Eventually, Jasmine discovered the envelope in Gino's suitcase one morning when he was taking a shower. She convinced herself that she didn't intend to spy, but her curiosity overcame her. Her world fell apart as she opened the letter and read what was inside. Jasmine was standing in the center of the room with the letter and tears in her eyes when Gino emerged from the lavatory with a towel wrapped around his waist. "You misled me," she said. "What kept you from telling me?" Gino stopped. "I was going to tell you, Jasmine. I simply had no idea how. I had no idea whether it was true. You intended to inform me? Her voice rose as she interrupted.
When?
Following our marriage? After I gave up everything and relocated to the United States? Following my adoption as a stepmother to a child I was unaware of? Gino apologized, his voice breaking. I was afraid. I was afraid of losing you. Clinging to the letter as if it were a fragment of her shattered heart, Jasmine took a seat on the side of the bed. You have already done so. For what seemed like hours, they were silent. The room was filled with deep shadows as the sun sank over the ocean outside. Jasmine looked up at last. You must submit to a DNA test. And you must take charge if he is your son. However, I need some time to consider the implications of this for us. Gino gave a slow nod. I'll accept whatever you decide. Jasmine, I still adore you, though. That remains unchanged.
She didn't respond.
Wondering if their love could withstand the truth, she simply turned her face towards the window and watched the last of the sun go below the waves. But Gino had always been a cautious man, systematic in his planning, conservative with his emotions, and cautious with his money. At 52, he believed he had his life together, a reliable job in Michigan, a low-key lifestyle, and a tranquil routine. Until he met Jasmine online, that is. Fire was Jasmine, a 34-year-old Panamanian teacher who is passionate about fitness, has a sharp tongue, and is gorgeous. Gino went down hard. They had lengthy late-night chats during their video sessions. She restored his sense of vitality. He saw a second shot at love in her, not simply a companion. However, the fissures quickly became apparent. My hair extensions cost $300, Gino. I need them to have self-assurance. I take it that you want me to appear well for you? Through the camera, Jasmine sulked once. Gino paused. She had specified 3 beauty-related expenses that week. Still, he sent the money. Requests for a new iPhone, rent assistance, gym supplements, and even cosmetic operations continued to come in as the weeks passed. Slowly, Gino's savings disappeared. It was love, he told himself. She was just going through a hard time, he told himself. However, the skepticism increased. Was he merely an ATM on foot? The initial embrace felt amazing when Gino flew to Panama. At the airport, Jasmine rushed into his arms like she was in a romantic film. But soon, reality set in. She criticized his attire during dinner. When he refused to buy her fancy shoes the following day, she lost it. She became aloof when he attempted to voice his concerns. So, I'm a gold digger now? Do you believe that? With tears in her eyes, she yelled. I believed you loved me. Gino went into a frenzy. No, Jasmine, that isn't it. You may love me or the things I give you, but I'm not sure. Jasmine averted her gaze. There was a terrible pause between them. Later that evening, Gino sat by himself on the hotel balcony and gazed at the glimmering city lights below. He played back all of their exchanges. The presents. The costs. Guilt trips. He hoped Jasmine genuinely loved him. However, he couldn't get rid of the impression that he was merely a source of income. Gino struggled back in the United States. His intellect told him one thing, but his emotions told him another. Sometimes affectionate, sometimes demanding, Jasmine sent texts. He began counting the number of times she said, I love you, as opposed to, can you send money? The last straw occurred during a video conference. Gino, Jasmine remarked with a charming smile, I've been considering having minor surgery. It's just $4,000. Can you assist me? His heart fell. How are you? And I miss you were absent. At last he inquired, Jasmine, would you still want to be with me if I lost my job tomorrow and had nothing left? She hesitated. Her grin dimmed. Why would you be fired? Gino's voice cracked as he replied, That's not the point. Are you just using me as a walking cash machine, or would you still love me? However, Jasmine was standing on the balcony with her arms firmly wrapped about herself as the sun was just beginning to rise over Panama City's roofs, giving the scene a golden tinge. Even though there was a light breeze, her mind was racing. Inside, Gino remained asleep, sprawled clumsily on the bed's edge as usual, partly hanging over, mouth open, snoring gently. Jasmine couldn't resist grinning. That snore had become strangely soothing even after all of this. There had been another storm last night. Between them, as well as the one that raged outside. The word trust was tossed back and forth like a hot coal that nobody wanted to hold for very long, along with accusations and tears. Gino had mentioned the messages, once more. Jasmine had packed and unpacked her bag twice, shouted and cried. But for some reason she stayed. In reality, she never did. I can never hate him, Jasmine muttered to the breeze as the city sprang to life beneath her. Since it was accurate. Regardless of how many times Gino made mistakes, such as like a model's photo by mistake, failing to call her after work, or bringing up prenuptial agreements, Jasmine kept returning. Love was never meant to be flawless, not because she was weak or unsophisticated. She recalled their initial video chat. Gino, in that silly, she had come to love and laugh at, with his clumsy smile and anxious chuckle. Even though she had rolled her eyes 100 times, she felt something melt when he was sincere. She had no idea that it had been frozen for years. It was not an easy road. Financial strain, cultural conflicts, and long distance had all fallen on them, sometimes all at once. She was cautioned by friends. His family had doubts about him. Jasmine, however, was a warrior at heart. And despite its confusion and complexity, this love was worth battling for. Gino stirred inside. Jasmine turned and returned to the room in silence, kneeling next to the bed. After observing him for a while, she softly brushed a hair from his forehead. His eyes opened a little. "Good morning," he muttered. "Hey," she said quietly. He murmured, half sleeping yet frightened. "Are you okay?" She grinned. "I'm all right." They exchanged silent glances for a while before Gino began again in a remorseful tone. "I apologize for last night." Jasmine gave a nod. "Me too." Of course, there would be more fights. More times of uncertainty and frustration. But there was something genuine underneath it all. Something they couldn't quite leave behind. "I can never hate you, Gino," she muttered again as she laid next to him, her head on his chest. "Greetings, dear viewers, greetings from my channel. I'm Amelia. I hope you're having a great day. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the video.